Your WavyOcho, I'm gonna react to how SmackDown vs. Raw soundtrack influenced the generation.
For those that know me or been watching this channel for a minute, you know that I'm a huge hip-hop head. From 50 Cent to Eminem to Jeezy to Weezy, I grew up in the 2000s. And hip-hop was the genre of music that I connected to. I was like 6 years old rapping along to Many Men, thinking I had ops trying to shoot me. And I've always said my love for hip-hop was the reason why John Cena was the first wrestler I truly connected with. Because to me, this was the white 50 Cent. Except he never got shot 9 times. And he actually grew up in a nice high-income suburb. But hey, he still got stabbed though. For me, my friends, hip-hop was just our thing. This is what our older cousins listened to, this is what all the cool kids listened to, this is what we thought
She was fire back in the day.
cool was.
Other genres of music never really crossed our minds or our ears. We were never going to be exposed to them either because unless it was some big pop song, the only thing we heard was hip-hop and rap. We also had immigrant parents who barely spoke the language, so they weren't exactly putting us on to any English music. I never had my dad sit me down and be like, hey son, listen to this shit from back in the day. But then came along something that changed the game, something that is solely responsible for me, and I like to think a lot of people like me for getting into and discovering rock music. Something that just opened up my music taste, and I am 100% sure that I'm not the only one.
Wrestling, for me, is the reason why I like rock music. Wrestling is the reason why I like rock music.
The SmackDown vs. Raw soundtracks. Wrestling in general was so important for me getting into rock music, from Triple H's theme to
Let the bodies hit the floor, let the bodies hit the floor,
to every single pay-per-view theme song at that time. But it was playing the SVR games from 04 until 2010 for those countless hours just sitting there at the menu with those songs being ingrained in my brain. As silly as it sounds, it truly changed my life. For me, it all began with SVR 2006. That was the game where the soundtrack just hit me. As solid as the SVR soundtrack was, for some reason SVR 06 was the reason where I remember telling myself, yo, this rock shit is pretty cool. After just being into hip hop and now hearing these random ass bands that I of course never heard of before or even after, it was an experience. Songs like Pieces by Dark New Day, Broken by Fireball Ministry, The Dillinger Escape Plan, bands that most of us would have never found, bands that even the most diehard fans of the genre probably have never heard of. But all thanks to a random ass wrestling game, I was introduced to metal and instantly became appreciative of the genre. There is no way in hell I would have ever heard of Broken by Fireball Ministry otherwise, a song with less than 1 million views on YouTube that's been on YouTube for 16 years. But now, even in 2023, you'll still find me. Because of SVR 06, you'll still find me singing along to and that was just the beginning.
The SmackDown vs. Raw 2006 game, I like Waiting. I think Waiting was the best one.
Because what truly
Made me fall in love with the genre was SVR 2007. Listen, whoever helped select the SVR 07 soundtrack, they need.
I like the soundtrack of 2007 though. I ain't gonna hold you. You got mad rock songs that I like. There's a fire soundtracks though. But just SmackDown vs. Raw 2007 was a really great ass game, bro. But the only thing I don't like is the stamina, bro. I hate that shit, bro. Word.
give it an award.
Because that soundtrack is what made me become what I would say a casual metal fan. To just hearing the sound.
big train rolling down the line makes me lonely.
Just hearing those songs makes me want to cry tears of joy. The nostalgia is so strong, and the music was just so good and so unique to me. And this was it. This was the soundtrack that made me go out and look for more metal and rock and just new music in general. But the one band that I discovered from this soundtrack that really got me was 3 Days Grace. Let's Start a Riot and Animal I've Become in the SVR07 soundtracks just hit me on another level. Because of this soundtrack, you bet your ass I went on Google and I downloaded the whole 1X album. Yo, you bet your ass I typed in 3 Days Grace 1x.zip MediaFire and I downloaded that shit. I had this on my PSP and then on my iPod, I became a genuine 3 Days Grace fan. I would listen to this album from front to back, back to front. I'd be playing COD 4 and Modern Warfare 2 while listening to the album all day. I would be walking to school in minus 20 degrees weather, freezing in the winter, but just having the time of my life listening to songs by 3 Days Grace. And when my grade 4 crush didn't like me back, 3 Days Grace was what I went to. And yo, it was a trip because somehow me, who was just the biggest G-Unit soldier, the biggest rap fan, became obsessed with 3 Days Grace of all bands. And it was all because of SmackDown vs. Raw 2007. And as the years went on, as SVR 08, 09, and 2010 came out, I discovered so many bands and songs from these soundtracks that shaped my music taste and really made it so diverse. All I knew was hip-hop. Like I said, I could name the entire track list of the Carter 3 from front to back, but because of these games, I knew bands like 3 Days Grace, Puddle of Mud, Seven Dust, Egypt Central, Sick Puppies, bands that by middle school nobody I knew listened to, bands that would scare off most of the kids if they knew I was listening to this. But yo, there is nothing more nostalgic, I swear to God, than entering the SVR 08 menu and just hearing this. And because these games sparked my interest, I would go on to find other bands that weren't even in the soundtracks, but just by listening to the songs that were, I would end up on YouTube and back in the Vivo days just discover Linkin Park, Korn, Slipknot, System of a Down, bands that I still listen to this day. Of course, I could have easily still discovered heavy metal and some of these bands without wrestling, but I know for a fact that I would never have loved it the same. When you spent as much time playing these games as we did, it really got ingrained into our brains.
Now, 2008, the 2008 game was different. Like, you could do anything. Like, you could fly. Like, you could really fly in that game. Like, literally fly.
Because even when the games
Games were not that good, like SVR 09, the music made that game.
It's all about the music, you know?
And you know what's crazy? One of my favorite songs from any soundtrack, as cheesy as a song is, it's Hero by Skillet from SVR 2010. This song is so cheesy, and it is kind of cringe, but I don't care. It's fire. I remember being a kid and going to like soccer practice and stuff, and I'd be playing this before a game, getting all hyped up. But I'll never forget being younger and ending up on the Skillet Wikipedia page, and then I found out that Skillet was actually a Christian rock band. And when I got that information, I remember just sitting there being like, what? But that's what was awesome. There is no way in hell I would have ever found a Christian rock band and started jamming to any of their songs. But thanks to SVR 2010, here I was living my best life listening to it. 6 games over 6 years and 6 soundtracks, but songs that for many like us that will live and play forever. I can't wait to be a grandpa one day and just be jamming to these, and my grandkids are gonna be like, there goes grandpa again playing his weird ass emo songs. And when it comes to rankings, because everybody always wants to rank them, in my opinion they're all goated, they're all top tier, they're all classics. But for me, it's simple. I have a top 3, and this is my top 3. Number 1, SVR 07, no doubt the best. Number 2, SVR 08. And lastly, number 3, surprisingly, SVR 09, just kind of beating SVR 06. Wrestling was my first real exposure to non-rap music. Now these days I can't imagine only listening to one genre of music, and like I said, I'm sure over time I would have discovered Linkin Park after watching a wrestling tribute mix on YouTube in 240p, but it was those countless hours playing 6 SVR games every single year with songs in the back just going crazy. These songs about how the singer hates everyone and everything, but they went so hard. That's how the SVR soundtracks influenced a whole generation into discovering music they otherwise probably would have never fell in love with. And who knows, maybe somebody listened to the SVR 07 soundtracks and discovered Ghostface Killah and Lil Scrappy and they became rap fans. But at the end of the day, all I can say is, you just had to have been there, and what a time it was to be alive. In the comments
Those were good times, bro.
down below. Let me know, what is your no?
Yeah, that's a bit. Yeah, bro. Like those were good times, bro. Like me personally, I like SmackDown versus Raw 2007. Like soundtracks, better. But don't get me wrong, the other games they have good songs that are valid songs that I like too. Those were nice songs. Like, but I like SmackDown for 2007. SmackDown two in 2007 was a good game. It was a really good game. But I didn't like I said, I just don't like the stamina and shit. But yeah, let me know what y'all think, bro. And what was the best soundtracks out of each game that y'all like? Who had the best soundtracks out of each game? Let me know. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe. Y'all know the vibes. Whoever just checking out you are.